Hi, everybody. Welcome to the OnStage Blog Theater podcast. And we're very excited. We are here to preview what's coming up in the next couple months for Broadway. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm theater critic Rachel Wagner. And Chris Peterson is here. And thanks so much for coming and doing this.
Oh my God, my pleasure. Anytime I get to chat about theater for at least an hour with anybody, I'll take it. But let alone me, I'm just so excited to be with you again.
Yeah. So this might be a couple weeks before, because of what we've already recorded. It might be a bit before it actually airs. We're recording this on the 23rd of March. So if something else gets announced or something, then you'll have to forgive us. But we're going with what we have at this time. And it's interesting because I was thinking, oh, it'd be fun to do these previews like every quarter, but I so we did originally I was thinking it'd be fun to do these previews like every quarter. So we did one for the winter preview with me and Jax. And then I didn't really think about the fact that almost everything on Broadway is released before May because they want to get that Tony deadline. And so there really was almost nothing that is being released in May or June. So you couldn't really do a quarter like I was thinking. So some of the things we already previewed, some of the shows we already previewed in the winter preview, but we didn't get your opinion on what you think of it. So it'll still be fun.
Love it. Yeah, let's dive. Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
wait.
Okay, so the very first thing that we are talking about is Boop, the Betty Boop musical. And this starts previews on March 11th. It opens April 5th. Stars Jasmine Amy Rogers, Faith Prince, Ainsley Melham, Eric Bergen, and more. And then writers David Foster music, Susan Birkenhead lyrics, Bob Martin book. Of course, they're all very acclaimed. Director Jerry Mitchell, a new musical based on the classic cartoon character created by Max Fleischer. Its premiere production played in Chicago in November 2024. So, what do you think about Boop, the Betty Boop musical?
Well, it's funny. When they first announced it, I was kind of like, oh, like we're taking a property that is very old, maybe has not been the best of aging, since then, but uh, not the first thing I would think of for a good source for a musical. But then you look at the creative team. Uh, I love Bob Martin. I've always been a huge fan, and I kind of trust Bob Martin with properties and things like that. But from everything I've heard, it is an entertaining time. I mean, you're
Yeah.
not going to Boop the musical for this like existential, like, symbolic journey through that's going to, break through artistic barriers. I think you're going to be entertained and I think you're going to be surprised. And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, Jasmine Amy Rogers is the next star. A lot of people cannot believe that she is making her Broadway debut with this. And you can also make the argument that if they did in the show 30 years ago, Faith Prince would be playing the role of Betty Boop. I mean, it's just one
Yeah,
of those
that's
like
true.
interesting casting, full circle moments. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think this definitely kind of falls in line with some of the shows I've seen in the past where it's like you're getting the entertainment worth of what your ticket price actually is.
Yeah.
You're just going to have fun and seeing a property that you would not think would make it as a musical.
Yeah, it's really interesting because sometimes it works to have a beloved IP that is going to get butts and seats, like with your Back to the Future or your, something like that. But then other times it works to have something that is less familiar, like Hairspray would be, I think, the ultimate example of that. I mean, I know there's lots of John Waters fans, but I don't know how many people were going to see that musical because they love the original film. If anything, I think people watched the original film because they love the musical. And so it can work. I think it's a lot riskier. But what makes me most excited, because I could care less about Betty Boop, but as an animation fan, the visuals are what are the most interesting to me about this. That they are able to create basically a black and white aesthetic for the first part of the show. That's very exciting to me. And then she goes into the world of color, and just what I'm seeing of the visuals is making me very excited. I think that looks
Yeah,
super cool.
yeah, everybody's talking about the visuals of this show, so I definitely expect that to be a huge kind of highlight coming out of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
can't wait.
So what would you give it? 1 to 4, 4 most excited, one not excited at all.
Ooh, I would give this one a solid three, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's you figure also like the material had to have been pretty good because they're not going to do it is they're like the investments and stuff aren't going to do it based on just the IP alone, like they might do with other properties. They're going to it's got to be pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, nowadays with the investment that these things take, there's got to be some juice with, in the squeeze, so to speak,
Yeah.
as they say. And with David Foster being the composer, I mean, the man knows how to
Yeah.
create a tune. So,
Yeah.
I have not heard any music at all from this yet.
No,
So,
me either.
yeah, very, very interested.
Yeah. So then we have Smash coming. In this starts previews March 11th, opens April 10th. And this Robin Herder, Brooks Ashmanskas, Krista Rodriguez, John Bellman, list goes on. Writers Mark Scheinman, music and lyrics, Scott Whitman, lyrics, Rick Ellis, and Bob Martin. He's just the man of the hour.
Man of the
Uh,
hour.
doing the book, director Susan Stroman, stage incarnation of the TV series depicting the creation of the fictional Marilyn Monroe musical Bombshell. Now, I have never watched the show Smash.
Oh,
I've
really?
never,
Okay.
no, I don't watch that much television because I'm so busy watching movies and theater. I pretty much, if it's not on Hallmark Channel, I don't watch it.
There you
And
go.
because for my other podcasts, I cover the Hallmark shows, but I just don't have a lot of time for television. And so I haven't seen this show. So just personally, I have no interest in it based on that. But like, I am kind of intrigued to see a new show. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think from a nostalgia standpoint, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't wait! This is gonna be amazing!" And I'm like, "Yeah, but do you remember the show? Like, the show was fine. Like, see, it ran for 2 seasons.
Uh-huh.
Um, Season one is great because it's all about the making of a musical without really getting too much in the weird drama that these formulaic TV shows tend to take. A lot of inside baseball, as they say, meta things that were happening in one. Plus, it was chock full of theater people. I mean, you had Megan Hilty as one of the people. You had, a bunch of other people in there, Christian Borle,
Yeah.
just to name a few. Um, and season two got a little wacky. And that's when it basically ended. And you had a lot of drama in between season one where they let the original showrunner go, and it was a whole thing. But
Oh.
the what was always very good about Smash was the music, and you had not only in season one a lot of stuff written by Mark Scheinman and Mark Whitten, but in season two you had some great
Okay.
Joe Iconis music in there. I think Pasek and Paul wrote some stuff for it as well. So you had strong songs all throughout. And so when they announced that they were bringing it to Broadway, what made it a little confusing was, are they making it the musical Smash, or are they making the musical that the Smash TV show was making, which is a musical called Bombshell, which is about the life of Marilyn Monroe. So
Yeah.
there was a little confusion there. Now, what's ironic, or I shouldn't say ironic, interesting is Krista Rodriguez was also in the TV show. So seeing her now in the musical version is kind of funny. But
Yeah.
it is what I love most about this musical. It is chock full again with talent. So Krista Rodriguez, Robin Herder, Caroline Bowman, who might be, hot take, the best Alphaba we've ever seen on Broadway,
Oh.
and things
Yeah.
like that. You've just got a great, great cast, a great ensemble. I know several of the ensemble members that all could be, featured players or lead roles on Broadway by their own. So, incredibly talented cast. So, yeah, kind of really interested in this one.
Yeah. So what would you give it, you think, out of 4?
I would
Excitement.
honestly give it a four. Uh,
Really?
of all,
That's
yeah, of all
interesting.
the
Yeah.
yeah, because I wouldn't
They
say I'm banking on it to be this brilliant thing, but I do think it's going to be just really, really interesting to check this thing out.
Yeah. I was gonna give it two just because it doesn't have that visual like appeal that's exciting me about Boop. So I don't feel like I could give it the same score that I gave Boop. But yeah, I mean it could be very intriguing. We'll see what they do.
And I think you with you what you said earlier about like having not seen the show, I think those scores are accurate for people that have seen the show and not seen the show. So I think
Yeah.
anybody who hasn't seen the show, a two is a perfect rating for their
Yeah.
excitement level for this. For people that have seen the show or maybe fans of the show, it's probably
Uh-huh.
more like a four.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting to see how it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very interested.
yeah. So okay, next we have Good Night and Good Luck. This is starts previews March 12th, opens April 3rd, starring George Clooney, writers George Clooney and Grant Heslov, director David Cromer. George Clooney will make his Broadway debut in stage adaptation of his 2005 film about Edward R. Murrow television crusade against Senator Joseph McCarthy. And this is interesting because not only is his Broadway debut, but he's now playing Edward R. Murrow, which he didn't in the film, and so I forget what his role was in the film. But what do you think about this?
I when they announced this, I was a little well. First of all, I was shocked that someone like George Clooney would be willing to come and do Broadway and do, eight shows a week, so to speak. Doing this stuff. But I like the fact that when you watch that movie, it definitely is very theatrical in terms of like, yes, you could definitely see this being made into a uh, stage adaptation. So I think it's gonna work, in terms of as a piece. I like the fact that George Clooney is doing it. I think it does not come to Broadway at all without his involvement somehow, some way.
Yeah,
And so, him starring in it is definitely a good thing. Now, when I say my excitement level from a one to four on this, I have to kind of, put an asterisk where I'm like, it's a solid three. At the same time, I can't afford to go see this show. So it's one of those like, I'm excited, but I'm more excited to see a pro shot someday if they end up doing that.
yeah. Well, maybe they'll let us review it as critics. That would be nice.
That would be
But
nice.
in the film, David Stratham played Edward R. Murrow, and George Clooney was Fred W. Friendly, co-producer of the show. So
Yeah, great
he's the
movie. I
producer.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
think. It's like it's a great movie. So yeah, I'm hopeful that it's gonna be a good stage adaptation.
Beautiful black and white cinematography and in that movie. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I would probably give it a three. I think I give
Mm,
it a three.
yeah.
Okay, next I have The Last 5 Years. And this is starts previews on the 18th, opens April 6th, starring Nick Jonas, Adrian Warren, writer Jason Robert Brown, book music lyrics, director Whitney White. Jason Robert Brown's beloved musical about two New Yorkers falling in and out of love makes its Broadway debut. So this would still be considered a revival as far as the Tonys, correct? Because it's a classic, like Gutenberg.
I don't know because I mean the original production ran off Broadway, so
Yeah, but that was the same as like Gutenberg.
yeah, same thing with the musical Violet that came out a little while ago. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a great question. I
Yeah.
the Tonys
It just
the Tony seems to make up rules as they go along sometimes, so I have no idea.
yeah. But I love I love the last 5 years. I think the movie is quite underrated. It might make my 2025
Yeah.
musical
Oh,
adaptations. I
absolutely.
really enjoyed it. And it's very creative how we have both sides of the relationship, one starting at the end, one starting at the beginning. And and it's got some really good songs. I mean I think Nick Jonas is an interesting choice. I mean, he's done Broadway. I mean, he's done Les Mis and he's done other stuff, so he's not like completely green. Of course, Adrian Warren's amazing. I think both of these actors seem a little old for these parts, but stage it'll be fine. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited just because I love this musical. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, interestingly enough, my wife and I used this musical as part of our wedding vows. So the next 10 minutes, we actually use lyrics from that song in our wedding vows. I don't know if that's a good omen or bad
I was
omen. I
gonna
don't know.
say, it's all about a marriage that falls apart.
Right.
It's risky.
I mean, granted, we're 16 years in, so I think we're okay, but
That's
we'll
good.
see. But But yeah, no, I love this musical too. I love pretty much anything from James and Robert Brown, and also at the same time understanding that none of his shows ever really do well on Broadway. I think
Oh,
they're
that's
better.
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're better. I've always maintained that he's a better musical theater artist to listen to as opposed to see, which I don't know if that makes
Oh,
sense.
okay. Yeah.
Um, what's interesting about this musical is, yeah, when they announced the cast, I was like, Adrienne Warren, she can sing the phone book if she wants to, and it's going to be brilliant. So I had no problems with her playing Kathy. But yeah, like Nick Jonas was a wild card for me because even though he's done theater, you could argue that he's never earned like his Broadway creds. It was kind of just always that kind of half stunt casting of like, look, we got a Jonas brother and things like that. And the
Yeah.
team the team with last 5 years did some weird marketing
Oh,
on
they did.
TikTok and social media where they showed like snippets of songs that he was singing. And I won't lie, it wasn't the best takes necessarily of those songs that Nick Jonas was singing. So people have been walking in with weird expectations and the buzz has not been high for this one. So I will say this. I'm a solid two for this.
Mm.
Because I've seen great live productions. There's a great, by the way, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet on Broadway HD, there's a great film of this. Not the, Anna Kendrick one that we all know, but it was like a pro shot of last 5 years that took place inside an apartment. Like they literally film it inside one apartment, and it's the
Yeah.
coolest thing I've ever seen, and that really worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm solid two for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because he has played roles like it obviously in Les Mis. But this is like a very vulnerable, like it's just two people, minimal sets, minimal, I mean, in a way it's a low risk investment because I mean this thing has to be like practically nothing to put on. There's nothing. So in a way that makes sense for them and already has a following. But it is going to expose him more than something like Les Mis, where he can kind of there's the whole crowd and the spectacle, and everybody loves Les Mis. So there's that. And
Especially as an actor. Yeah,
yeah, oh
especially as an
yeah,
actor. Yeah.
yeah, and also because Jamie's kind of an unlikable character. I mean, he's the one that cheats. He's the one that So will he be able to pull that off? That's going to be interesting to see. And then yeah, I the only time I've ever seen the last 5 years was in a black box, which I think it's one of those shows that I wonder, kind of like the Fantastics, like is it almost does it make more sense off Broadway in the
Yeah.
smaller in a black box in a is it kind of suited for that? So it's going to be interesting to see how it does.
Yeah. Very semi interested to see, yeah, how long it lasts, and
Yeah.
we shall see. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 just because I love the material so much. But all right. So then we have John Proctor as the villain. This previews March 20th, opens April 14th. Sadie Sink is the big star in it, and then writer Kimberly Bellflower, director Dana Tamor. A new comedy about a high school English class questioning the classic play The Crucible. And I guess this says here on Playbill that this play has been performed in regional theaters across the country. So I guess it's had some testing been done. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm interested. I know Sadie Sink is a theater kid, so like, seeing her on Broadway is gonna be really cool. And uh, I love, love, love the work of Kimberly Bellflower. I mean, this has gotten a lot of play kind of hit the college circuit first before it actually
Mm.
became, so a lot of colleges do this. But um yeah, I'm very interested to see how this plays out. I mean, it's not. I think Sadie Sink has some appeal, and I think people will definitely uh go see it for her. Beyond that, I don't know if it has the pull, but um the buzz I'm hearing is really strong. So I'm probably like a solid like 2.5, 3 for this.
It's interesting because originally the uh originally the Crucible written in the 50s, had a lot of resonance because of the Red Scare and the way that they were able to compare the way that someone like John Proctor was demonized, and and manipulated, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they flip that, with because in the Crucible, the women like aren't very, because they tell this lie,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then it gets out of control, and so I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how they flip that in a modern setting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I know like they tried to do the Crucible a couple years ago and they set it inside this like all girls school. It was Yvonne Von Ho directed it. And it was like it was fine. It wasn't anything special. So yeah, I mean I'm interested to see when you play around with these things to see what it's how it's gonna actually look.
Yeah, because Abigail is like the villain,
Right.
basically,
Right.
the Crucible.
Exactly.
So that's going to be interesting to see how, and especially like in with current politics, just like how we take this allegory that meant something when it was out, and we're going to flip it to mean something else. And I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious. I give it a 3. I think it
Hmm.
sounds interesting. Okay. Stephen Sondheim's Old Friends. This is March 25th, opens April 8th. Bernadette Peters, Leah Salonga, writer Stephen Sondheim, Cameron McIntosh is the deviser. um, Directors Matthew Bourne, Julia McKenzie. The hit West End tribute to the late Stephen Sondheim comes to Broadway, starring Broadway legends Bernadette Peters and Leah Salonga. What do you think?
Yeah, not excited for this at all. Here's the thing. If I'm being honest, like I am not gonna, with Broadway tickets the way they are these
Uh-huh.
days, like, uh, yeah, I'm not in it for a musical review anymore. Like,
Oh.
I want story, I want narrative. I love Sondheim. I love Sondheim so much that instead of going to see old friends, I will listen to the original cast albums back when Bernadette Peters was in her prime, back, when and listening to these, stories and songs in the moment that they are played.
Uh,
So yeah, to me, and this is gonna sound terrible. This is gonna sound terrible. So hot take, but since it's Cameron McIntosh, it's to me this is a money grab, and it disguised as a genuine
huh,
tribute to Sondheim,
yeah.
who if I didn't know the man, I never met the man, so I can't claim this is, but based on the things that he would talk about and how he'd talk about himself, I feel like he'd be horrified by the fact that this is going to Broadway. Um,
Huh,
so yeah,
yeah.
I'm at a 1.
Yeah. Whoa, that's surprising to me. I mean,
I would go see
I
the show for free. There you go. If someone offered me tickets for free, I'd go see it for free.
I mean, I just find it hard to give a 1 to Bernadette Peters and Leia Salonga. I mean, they're so incredible. And I'm not the biggest Sondheim lover. Like I respect him, obviously, he's a genius, but it's just I'm not as high on, certainly on Into the Woods and some of his other shows as other people. But I still think this would be pretty cool. I have to say, I think I would give it a 3. I think it would be
Yeah,
fun. But you're
I mean,
right. I mean, it's going to be so expensive.
honestly,
But
like had it gotten better reviews when it was on the West End, I'd probably be a little more excited. But like
no.
even the reviews I read were like, yeah, what's the point? Like it was one of those like, what's the point of this?
Didn't they also have his last show that I
Yeah.
guess wasn't very
Hmm.
good?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that I heard wasn't very good. So it kind of all got meshed into all of that. But that's interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that.
And, another thing too is I think we're all Sondheim out. I mean, I miss the man. I love the man. But in the past, like since his passing, we've had at least one
Yeah,
Sondheim on Broadway each season. Like
it's true.
enough's enough.
Fair
Give it
enough.
a break.
Yeah. Yeah. If that doesn't get some clicks on on this video, I don't know what will.
Oh my God. Sorry, we gained subscribers. We probably just lost everybody. So Apologize.
All right, so we have Floyd Collins. This
Mm,
previews March 27th, opens April 21st. Stars Jeremy Jordan, Jason Gauthier, and more. And writers Adam Gutel, music and lyrics, and Tina Landau, book. And Tina Landau, she just recently did the Redwood, right?
yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's a busy lady as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's and director Tina Landau. It's a Lincoln Center Theater will present the Broadway debut of the award-winning off-Broadway musical based on the true story of a man trapped in a cave. So this is another one that will be interesting to see if the Tonys declare it a classic or if it's considered a new release because
Mm,
it's totally, I guess, up to them. Because I didn't get to see it, but it was performed at a college near here last year. A friend of mine saw it and was talking about it. Um, I mean, I'm a huge Jeremy Jordan fan. I love
yeah.
him. I saw him in concert last year. Oh, it was great. I love him, and I think this is another smart one to do because I think it's just like there's no sets, there's no like this got to be like uber cheap. So
Yeah.
smart that they're doing it and I'm intrigued to see what it'll be and yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. What
What
would you give it?
I mean, I'd probably give it a 4 just for Jeremy Jordan.
There you go. There
I
you go.
love him.
By the way, he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, as
Yeah.
well. Completely genuine. Yeah, I'm actually at a 4 too. This is like one of those pieces that I think of all the new stuff coming to Broadway. This is probably the most I'm excited of all the new shows. Adam Cattell is brilliant composer from Light in the
Yeah.
Piazza.
Yeah.
He's I say it all the time. He's brilliant. And he'll agree with me because all you got to do is ask him, and he'll tell you. Um, but uh no, but I think this is going to be the surprise quality hit
Yeah.
of the season. And Lizzie McAlpine, who's in the supporting role, I think I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this young lady making her debut. We might have a
Oh.
future star as well. But I would say this in terms of like what the Tony committees love, this kind of checks a lot of those boxes. So, but it doesn't check a lot of commercial success boxes. So I'm interested to see if it's one of those shows that does critically really well, but just doesn't get the commercial success that
Yeah.
people are hoping for.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have any IP or, anything like that, but then it seems like a show that would be very cheap to
Yeah.
produce. So
And
that
it,
could
it
help
it
it.
checks all the boxes for theater nerds. I mean, it's like Tina Landau and Adam
Yeah.
Cattell and all this stuff. So yeah, it'll do well by our crowds, but we'll see about the
Because
general
where I
population.
think you have the biggest problems is when you have something like that swept away, uh, the musical that seemed like high production costs, expensive, no IP really connection, no nothing to drag people. And I heard mixed things about it, but I think that's like I feel like it's almost like you like when you're making a meal, you want to have something that's either fast, healthy, or cheap. You cannot have all
Hmm.
three. Almost never.
Right,
There have to
right.
be and so it's the same way with Broadway shows. It's like they can't be like low production costs, high recognizability, critic praise, like all three. That's very hard.
Indeed.
But I don't know. So, okay. So then we have Stranger Things, The First Shadow. This starts March 28th, opens, previews March 28th, opens April 22nd, stars Louis McCartney, Rosie Benton, Alex Brew, Andrew Hovelson, and the list goes on. Writers Kate Treffry, writer and original story, The Duffer Brothers story, Jack Thorne's story, and director Stephen Daldry and Justin Martin. The prequel to the hit Netflix series comes to Broadway after its Olivier Award winning opening in London's West End. And it's interesting because I feel like the transition from West End to Broadway has been pretty mixed.
Mm,
Like
Yeah.
it's not necessarily what's successful. What works over there in London doesn't necessarily work over here.
I'd like to say we're smarter and have a higher taste than because I mean Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory was like one of the biggest sellers over in England,
Yeah.
and it bombed here. So yeah,
Well, like
I'm
Sunset
really
Boulevard had like
yep.
more mixed response. The recent Cabaret had mixed. Like they're still on, so they had
Hmm.
some success, but mixed compared to West End
Yeah.
recently.
I mean this one's interesting because I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. And I think for me, as long as it is a good story worth telling, which by the way, all accounts I've been told it is, I'm pretty excited for this. What I'm really, I mean, you mentioned some of the creative team. There's two members of the creative team that definitely deserve mentioning is Jamie Harrison and Chris Fisher, who are visual effects designers. Now, the important thing about them is they did all the visual effects for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And so a show that you know, when it comes to the onstage magic of that show, I've never seen anything like that before in my life. And
Mhm.
so if they can do that with Harry Potter, part of me is giggling inside, thinking like, what can they possibly bring to the Stranger Things universe?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm at a four with this one. I'm
It
extremely excited.
it is a challenge to do a mystery prequel. So
Yeah,
we already know that Joyce and Hopper and all these characters, we know that they're alive because they're in the series. So that's kind of tricky. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. Yeah, I mean, assume it'll do pretty well. It has been it's been a bit since we had the last season of Stranger Things, but definitely has a fan base. So it should
yeah.
do pretty well. So yeah, I mean, I kind of fell off the show just because I just ran out of time when the episode just kept getting longer and longer and longer, and so I'm a couple seasons behind. But I'd give it a three. I'm intrigued.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
What did you give it?
I'm at a four just
Oh,
because
four.
of
Okay.
I love technical heavy shows and immersive experiences, which I'm told this is. Um, like if anybody's been lucky to see the show The Woman in Black, which is one of the scariest theatrical things I've ever sat
Yeah.
through. I love that stuff. So like, yeah, I have high hopes. High hopes.
Yeah. Okay, so then we have Just in Time. This starts previews March 31st, opens April 23rd. Starts Jonathan Groff, writer Warren Leight, and Isaac Oliver for the book. Alex Timbers, director. Jonathan Groff plays beloved singer Bobby Darin in this new musical that transforms the theater into an immersive nightclub. So, like, obviously, love Jonathan Groff. That sounds interesting, an immersive nightclub. But like, I have absolutely no interest in a Bobby Darin like musical. That sounds so like what? No, I mean it could be good. Like I like Jersey Boys. I like some of these. Like it could be good, but just I have no interest in a Bobby Darin musical on the surface.
Yeah, I it, yeah, it's one of those things where when they announced that this was coming. I kind of at first thought I was like, wait, seriously? Like this is gonna be a Broadway show? This seems like more like a Vegas act or dinner theater experience than an actual Broadway musical. But um yeah, here's the thing. I think this is gonna do very, very well with the older generation of theater
Yeah,
fans.
I could see that.
Like, people that are my mom's age and older I think are gonna flock. So expect a lot of buses on those Wednesday matinees of people coming in, with what I call the blue hair crowd. I
Yeah,
think it's
that
gonna be a hit
that's
there.
that's a good point.
And I mean, this could be uh, kind of proving the theory that I've had a while for Broadway is that when we look at audience demographics and you see that the majority audience is an older white female that goes to see Broadway
Uh-huh.
theater, this is like giving them candy. Like
Yeah,
this is like Bobby Darin tunes in an immersive nightclub nostalgic experience that might transport you back to the 1950s. Um, with a very, charismatic lead playing Bobby Darin. I mean,
yeah,
this could be
I can
it.
see it.
So
Yeah, that's a good
we
point.
shall see. We shall see.
I give it a two. Would
Yeah.
you say jukebox musicals, are you more in team biography or in team like Mamma Mia, tell a story with the songs?
Ooh. That's a great question. I probably lean towards the biography
Okay.
narrative jukebox
Yeah.
as opposed to taking them maybe out of context and putting them in a new context, like a Mamma Mia, like a
All
oh
shook
God,
up
that
or
all
yeah.
shook up, like the Dreadful Beach Boys one that I can't remember the name of the title was. So yeah, I kind of lean more towards the biography ones.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So what would you give this one?
Oh, I'm with you. I'm at a two.
Two,
Yeah, I'm
two.
at a two with
Okay.
this. Yeah.
All right, we have three more. So next is Real Women Have Curves. This starts previews April 1st, opens April 27th, starring Tatiana Cordoba and Justina Mikado. And writers Joy Hereta and Benjamin Velez, music and lyrics, Lisa Loomer with Neil Benjamin, the book, and director Sergio Trujillo. A new musical based on Josefina Lopez's 1993 play, which also inspired a 2002 movie. The musical premiered at Cambridge American Repertory Theater in 2023. So, what do you think about this?
Of all the musicals opening this year, this is the one that I'm rooting for the most.
Uh huh.
That I also am acknowledging will have, I think, a very short life on Broadway. And I mean that in the most genuine, sincere ways. I think it's gonna be a great show. I think it's gonna be highly critically praised. I think the problem is that it's got no one who you know off the top of your head. There's no star,
Yeah.
if you
I
will.
feel like who is that person though? Like, is there, like that's, I just, I don't know, like who's that person that could get butts and seats that would fit this role?
You know, in the situation where you don't have someone in the cast, it's got to be the composer or the director or someone on that end. And
Oh,
you don't
okay. I
have
see what you're
and I
saying.
love I
Yeah.
love Sergio. Sergio's amazing, but again, not a household name that's gonna draw people and
Can
be like, "Oh
see
my God."
that.
Like not you've got all, pretty much all Hispanic cast in this. Um
Yeah, like you had with like Alicia Keys doing Hell's Kitchen. Of course, that was about this
right.
biographical, but
I
like,
mean,
yeah, I
if
could
let's
see
say
that.
Lynn composed this, then you've got everybody and everybody's there.
Yeah, that's
Um
true.
but I've heard nothing but good things about it, but just like, you know,
Or even if
how to
you
dance.
had, even if you had like Jennifer Lopez executive producing or something like that.
Right, something like that. But like just
Yeah,
like the
that's true.
prom
That's a good
and
point.
just like the prom and How to Dance in Ohio, like musicals that I just am rooting for and loving that just have no shot at success on Broadway. This is probably it. I think this will all have a very healthy life though in regional theaters, college theaters, uh, maybe
Yeah.
national tours, but not just it's just not a Broadway success story.
I do think that this one will depend a lot on if it gets some Tony love.
Yes,
If it
absolutely.
could get a big Tony bump, and that could help it for something like this.
Totally, totally.
Yeah, something they could have sort of a run of my favorite, the band's visit.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
There you go.
absolutely. Okay, so then we have. I mean, I'd give it a three. I'm curious.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd give
I'm
it a
right.
three.
I'm right there too. Like I'm a three, but I really am rooting for it. I really want it to do well.
Yeah, because I do like the original film. I mean, and then it was based on a play. So Pirates, the Penzance musical. This previews April 4th, opens April 24th, starring Ramin Kirk. Sorry, I mean, I'm not even gonna try. These names are hard.
Ramin Camilio girl. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
pronounce his name wrong too. So,
Uh, sorry, sorry. I mean, David Hyde Pierce is in this, and its writers Arthur Sullivan, music, and of course W.S. Gilbert, libretto, Rupert Holmes, adaptation, and director Scott Ellis. Gilbert and Sullivan's classic comic operetta is brought to life on Broadway for the first time in over 40 years, a jazz-influenced adaptation. I have to say, I think Pirates of Penzance is kind of boring. I don't love it. I mean, the Modern Major General is super fun. I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with this adaptation and if they can make it less boring. Maybe I enjoy it, but I don't know. I don't love this musical. It's probably super
yeah,
cheap because I think it's in the public domain. So like it's like doing Shakespeare. free. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a new adaptation. I mean, Rupert Holmes, who did Mystery of Edwin Drood, kind of readapted it,
uh
and so I'm interested. I do think like if you're gonna do Gilbert and Sullivan in any way, shape, or form, having David Hyde Pierce in it is a good thing.
yeah, that's
Because he
smart. I'm
just
sure he's the general, right?
yeah, no, he fits it very, very well. Um, so yeah, we'll see. And I love Jinx Monsoon is in it. She's playing Ruth. Um, so yeah, it's one of those shows where kind of like the last 5 years we were talking about earlier, where it's like I'd much rather see this in off Broadway just to see how it works before you throw it up to the big leagues, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that.
Uh, because I think it's just a little bit of a risk. Like if you came to me, like let's say you pitched this to me to invest in, I don't even know if I would do that. So, yeah, we'll see. But
I mean, I would, like I said, it seems like it would be super cheap. So
yeah,
like an investment strategy, maybe it makes sense that way. But I don't know. I just don't
yeah,
love Pirates
I'm a
Mid
one.
South.
I'm a solid
Yeah,
one on this
I think
one.
I am
Yeah.
too. Yeah. All right, last one is Dead Outlaw. This previews April 12th and opens April 27th. Andrew Durand, Jeb Brown, Eddie Cooper, and writers David Yazbek, Eric Della Pena, music and lyrics, and Itamar Moses, the book, David Cromer, director. A new musical about the bizarre true story of outlaw turned corpse turned celebrity Elmer McCurdy. It premiered off Broadway in March 2024. So, what do you think about Dead Outlaw?
You know, this is gonna probably be the Tony favorite this
Oh,
year. It's kind of
interesting.
winning all these. It's won all these awards already. A lot of people kind of have it high on that list. So from that alone, just hearing that this is going to probably be the Tony favorite, I'm probably right at a 3.5, 4. Also, I've got a couple, friends in the show. So I'm like,
Oh,
I'm kind of partial to that. But yeah, I think what I like about this one is it's a completely original musical. It's not based on a movie or a television show or anything like that. And David Yazbek, I think we as a musical theater um appreciate aficionados, if you will, do not give him enough credit for being such a brilliant songwriter that he is. Um yeah, there's so much of his work that I just have loved over the years. My favorite stuff are like Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, The Full Monty, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is great. Band's Visit. So yeah, I love his work, so I'm very excited for that.
it looks like it says I'm looking at some of the reviews of Off Broadway. Darkly hilarious, wildly inventive, bizarre true story. It sounds like it got pretty good reviews off
Yeah,
Broadway.
I mean, and it won. I mean, it's won Outer Critics Circle, Drama Critics, Drama
Oh,
Desk. So
okay.
it's an awards darling from off Broadway that I think is just going to be, yeah, that favorite going in.
Okay, sounds good. All right, yeah. I mean, you sold me. I'll give it a 4. That'll be
There it
fun.
is.
Yeah, there we go. Well, let us know what you think. Oh, before we go, I wanted to just real quick get your opinion. They just announced the Broadway Across America tour, which will be coming through Salt Lake. So this is like the national tours. So here it is. Phantom of the Opera, Some Like It Hot, Suffs, Twas the Night Before, A Beautiful Noise, Back to the Future, Hell's Kitchen, and Water for Elephants, and then add-ons of Clue, Live on Stage, and Hadestown. So that's the
That's a lineup.
full. Yeah, what do you think? What
I
most excite you about these?
ooh, okay. If you love tech design, but nothing else in theater, go see Back to the Future.
Yeah.
It is a technical marvel. I do not know how they're going to bring this on the road because so much of what they did
Yeah,
for that worked within the theater on Broadway with a Broadway-sized house.
I
How that
agree.
goes on the road and achieves the same effect, I'm excited to see. So if again, if you love technical theater and you love design, go see that. Honestly, Water for Elephants, I think, is an underrated
Oh,
piece.
uh,
I think it's better than the run it got on Broadway. So give it a shot. Suffs is very timely right now. Um, so if you are in a, excuse me, political mindset in any way, shape, or form, Suffs will check all the boxes for you on that end.
yeah. I mean, and I am a fan of the opera apologist. It was the first
There you
musical
go.
I ever saw, and so it always have a special place in my heart. I got when I was like 9, my grandma got me the Best of Andrew Lloyd Webber cassette tape, and I listened to it over and over and over again. So I am excited to see Phantom of the Opera.
I'd say this, if you've never seen Phantom of the Opera, I mean, obviously you can't go see it on
Yeah,
Broadway anymore.
the
Go see it at a
spectacle.
national tour. If I will say this, if they said it was a non-replica national tour, like they're doing an original production using the same music,
Oh,
you'd have me there in a heartbeat.
oh,
But
interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
like what they did with that Cats off Broadway.
just like that. And now they've
Okay.
got, I think it's Brazil, maybe I could be wrong the country, but Brazil is doing a non-replica production of Wicked right now. So I saw pictures of that, and if I showed you pictures, black and white, like no color,
Yeah.
one could not know what show that I was looking at because it's that much different than everything else we've seen from Wicked.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I think it's a pretty good lineup. It's definitely better than last year's lineup. Last year,
Mm.
pretty much Hamilton was the only thing I was like actively excited about, and then there were some that were better than I like. The Peter Pan was much better than I expected it to be. It was a very good tour, but yeah, this is much more exciting, and for me. And I've only seen the only one of these that I've seen aside from I've seen Phantom of the Opera and I've seen Back to the Future. So
Nice,
yeah, and
nice.
I guess Hades Town too. But
There you go. There you
yeah,
go.
so anyway, let us know what you think of this tour. Would you be signing up because this is the expensive tour that's going through. So let us know what you think and what you would give in your excitement level for these Broadway shows opening that we talked about. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section or on social media. And Chris, where can people follow the where can people follow the OnStage blog all over the place?
Oh my gosh. Well, go just Google OnStage blog and you'll see all of it. No, go to
Yeah,
Facebook is our main kind of social media hub, which is found at OnStage blog. Same thing on Instagram and X, if you will, formerly known as Twitter. We also are on Blue Sky and Threads. So we're doing all the
yeah,
social networking
very
here.
good.
But
Yeah,
then, of course, go to onstageblog.com. Just so you all know, I have kind of adopted a new philosophy of writing. It's my New Year's resolution to basically write something every single day. So in terms of new content on the blog, it
yeah,
is much, much more better than we've done in the past, I would say almost 2 years. So
yeah.
come to the blog because we're doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, really. I mean, you have been writing. I've been noticing that. I'm like, he's he's keeping busy. It's very good.
Churning them out.
Good stuff there. Yeah. So definitely check that out. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over the place for both film and theater, rachelsreviewstheater.com. It's where I have all my theater reviews. So you should check that out. And yeah, make sure you check out all of the playlist of all of our episodes that we have. We have some really fun episodes and hope you're all doing well. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.